Hey, this is Jason Bradley from the Community Solutions Podcast. And before we start today's podcast, I just want to take a moment and talk to you because we are neck deep in election season and people are getting their campaigns into full swing. And we wouldn't have it any other way than having you out there in the community meeting your neighbors and growing Team 20K. You know what, though? Some of you out there I know could use a little extra bump, whether that's some strategy, whether that's learning how to read a comprehensive annual financial report, whether that is understanding your city's comprehensive plan. We're here for you. So get a hold of us, and we would love to sit down for a consulting session with you. Nobody else in Minnesota does this at the local level. All you got to do is reach out to us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That is commsolutionsmn@gmail.com, and we will sure make your campaign competitive. All right, enough of my yapping, and back to the show. So I took a big chance at the high school dance with a missy who was ready to play. Was it me she was fooling? Because she knew what she was doing. Told me how to walk this way. She told me to walk this way, walk this way. Welcome to the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, back for yet another fantastic week.
Wow. Okay, that song is on the tip of my tongue. I mean, I've heard it a million times. I don't know who sings it. Can I take a guess?
Yes.
AC/DC.
No.
Aerosmith.
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
Wow.
See, I'm like the Twins announcers. If I just say it, it's the right answer.
Right.
Another one.
All right.
It's been so long since I got the first one right. I don't even remember what that was.
I guess we're playing like the three guess rule.
Yeah, it was a Beatles song, but I don't remember what. They were in the Orange Submarine or something. I don't remember, but I got it right.
You did.
Always can tell Steven Tyler when he sings. You can see how many teeth he has.
All of them?
Yeah, I mean the guy has like the mouth of a
makes root canals easy.
Oh, it's got to. You don't even need a mirror.
Oh goodness!
Another week of fun. Another week of. I don't know if you want to call this good news, bad news, ugly news, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
One of these days, maybe in November, we'll have a lot of good news.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but, not the goodest of news coming anybody's way.
No.
You got gooder, goodest, and this is not any of them.
No. But, by the time you guys get this and it hits your ears, the local campaign filing or candidate filing period will have ended.
Yes,
so,
for non-primary cities, and the primaries will all be over, which...
Yep. So we
all can't wait for that. I'm sick and tired of it. Can I make a prediction? Since at the time we're recording this, okay, we don't know the results?
Yes.
Can I make predictions on elections?
Sure.
Just for...
Have at it.
The hell of it?
I think that's good.
Okay, I say Palenti wins by a huge margin.
Really?
I say Walls wins and Murphy finishes third.
Ooh.
Killing the endorsement process completely.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Ellison wins the AG.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I think...
Okay.
He seems like he's the only person running. That's what it feels like.
Well, there is that.
I'm going to say Housley and Newberger win easy.
Yeah.
There was one more on the tip of my tongue.
What about the CD5 race, DFL?
I'm going to say Anderson Kelleher wins that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think of the suburbs. I think Omar will win Minneapolis. I think Kelleher Anderson will win
the rest of
it. Because I think the rest of the state. Yeah.
The rest of CD5.
The other 10 cities or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And I think the other votes will be spread throughout Minneapolis. So I think she'll take enough in the suburbs to overcome that. I think it'll be close, but I think she will edge that out, and she will go on to win in November. How do you like those? We'll see.
That's good.
We'll have a little fun with my predictions for
That's
next
good.
time.
I like that.
Yeah. But I say the endorsement process is gone. That's what I say.
Really?
Yeah, I think if both endorsed candidates for governor get their clocks clean, which I think is going to happen. I'm not saying that's what I want to happen. I'm saying that's what I think will happen.
Yeah.
I think the endorsement process. I think you're already seeing the primary as a strategy now.
Yeah.
And I think Tim Walz has made a big mistake. I think he made a big mistake going for the endorsement. He's moved way left to where I can't see him.
Right.
The Dems are going to win CD4 and CD5 no matter who they pick.
Right.
They have to, to win statewide, they've got to win out in one. All the places Trump won by wide margins. And Tim Walz came within a hair on your back from losing last time in his congressional race.
Yeah.
He came close to losing the time before that. So I don't think he's as popular out there as people think he is. So, but I still say that he wins. He's raised more money than Swanson and Murphy combined.
Yeah.
Murphy's got no support outside of Minneapolis. I just can't see her. I think she could come in a distant third. And I think Swanson and Nolan together, even though Swanson's just as radical but more low-key, I think they can be a little more formidable to Walz, but I say Walz holds them both off.
What do you think endorsement-wise? Let's say they split it and you have like Walz and Johnson who win.
Then it probably survives another time. I don't know if it does in 2022.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see the process completely get bypassed by 3/4 of the candidates. I mean, and it's been a problem all along. I mean, if you look at Jeff Johnson, who's a friend of mine, a friend of the show, but if I have a criticism of him, it's that he has a great strategy to win the endorsement. But last time and this time, it seems like there's no pivot out from that.
Right.
You know, and it's you can only go to so many small gatherings of the same 20 people, and that seems to be what he does. And there has to be, you got to cast a wider net than that. And I think that, you know, with caucus attendance as bad as it was, I think it'll be bad in 2020 because everybody does it by the presidential race, and if, you know, Trump's gets I mean, look, if we have a good economy and stuff, I think he's going to win no matter what. But certainly on the Republican side, nobody's going to be strong enough to challenge him.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, if something happened, somebody could challenge from Trump's right, I guess. But I don't know who that person would be at this point. I mean, you know, it might be a libertarian type who does that. But, you know, I don't know. I think there are better fights to make. But if Johnson and Murphy both lose, I see the endorsement process is dropped. I just think that it hinges on that. You know, and look, I mean, we can be obsessed with the process or we can be obsessed with results. I don't know that either one. I mean, if you look at Mark Dayton, he won bypassing the entire process. Remember, Margaret Anderson Kelleher, who we just mentioned, was endorsed in 2010.
Right.
Arnie Carlson did it, and when Alan Quist beat him, and then he took it to a primary and won. So, I mean, there is precedent for it. It has happened. I mean, just two of the three previous, you could even count Jesse Ventura in that because he was never endorsed by anybody. So 3 of our last 4 governors were never endorsed by anybody.
Well, I mean, to be fair with the Ventura thing, I mean, you didn't have... I don't think you had like these huge primary battles, though. I mean, he ran third party, and you know,
and he ran on the Reform Party ticket without officially being endorsed by anybody.
Yeah,
as far as I remember.
I don't remember if the Reform Party.
I don't think they had a caucus or a convention. Or maybe he ran as an independent and he joined the. Then I know he left the Reform Party.
Right.
When Pat Buchanan became their presidential nominee. So, it was kind of a mess. I mean, the third parties had a chance in this state with him and Tim Penny and a few other people like that, but kind of fell by the wayside, not being able to figure out how to get their acts together. You'd think if you'd have the governor in a state, I think the mistake they made was not running people for local office, like we always talk.
Yep.
They had to go from the ground up, and they had one guy with name ID and money and all that who was able to win statewide, and it was never sustained because they never It was the whole problem.
There's
with
no bench.
This whole problem with Ross Perot. I mean, people saw that there was an appetite to vote for a third party.
Yeah.
And nobody ever capitalized on it. All throughout the 90s, you can find there's an independent governor in Maine around the same time Jesse Ventura was the governor of Minnesota. And it just never got off the ground. I don't know why. I just think it was, I don't know if it was issue related. I don't know if it was strategery. I don't know if it was not enough candidates or what, or campaign finances it could have been, but there's an appetite for more than two party. I mean, there definitely is, and I'm all for that. I think I'm not afraid of choice. You know, I've always said you earn votes; they're not stolen from you.
Right.
So, you know.
No, I think you need to vote your conscience, and sometimes that leads you to a third party or whatever. And
it has on occasion for me. I won't say when. I know you've done the same.
I have.
Yeah,
on more than one occasion.
Yeah, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes it's, you know, I'm always reminded of what Jerry Garcia once said.
Yeah.
From Grateful Dead. He said, if you choose the lesser of two evils, you're still choosing evil.
Right.
And sometimes I just can't bring myself to.
Not a bad statement for somebody from California.
Somebody using medication a lot. Let's put it that way.
Right. Pretty lucid statement. Well, let's continue here with the local lowdown. We're going to talk about this. Is going to sound like ancient history, but don't worry, we'll bring it into the present for you. Let's go back to 2014 if we can. City of Victoria, Minnesota, which is kind of on the southwestern suburbs.
Can I sing?
Out by
Can I
Chanhassen.
sing? Victoria. Oh, no, that's okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay, that's all.
Oh, that's fantastic. You're getting better with every episode, I tell you what.
Not really. There was a song, a church song, Gloria. Remember, my dad would always come home and sing it after church.
Yeah.
So it's Victoria today.
Well, there we go. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's bad.
No. All right, let's move on. Victoria, Minnesota, which is down by kind of Chanhassen and Chaska.
Yep.
And
southwest corner of the Twin Cities.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they had an issue back in 2014 where there were 38 open meeting violations. Now, let's catch people up here on what an open meeting violation would be. There are open meeting laws here in Minnesota where...
And they're good laws.
Absolutely, because you can't have a secret meeting. You can't get a quorum of people together, whether that is in person, whether that is by email, whether that is by conference call. Okay. You can't do it.
There's caveats to that.
Exactly.
But,
but that's the basis of the law. You can't do that in a secret way. There
has to be public notice.
There has to be public notice.
Now, before
go
we
ahead
get going too far on this, when I was on the Crystal Community City Code Task Force, our city attorney Troy Gilchrist, our city attorney, who's very good, gave us very detailed explanation, because at the time we didn't know how we were going to divide the work up. You know, so it was, how can we do it? Can we talk to each other? Blah, blah, blah. The law is very specific. Okay, I mean, if a law is broken in this, it's pretty black and white. That's why I don't understand the court decision that we'll get into in a second. But basically, here's how it is. Members can talk between each other. They can email each other.
Yeah. What
they can't do is very simple. They cannot meet and form a quorum, i.e., 3 council. This is a 5-person council, Victoria.
Yeah.
4 council members and the mayor.
Right.
3 of them cannot get together and discuss city business.
Right.
At any time without, I believe it's a 7 or 10 day notice to the public. I think it's 7.
Yeah. And again, that's by email, that's in person, that's by phone.
Yes. They can't be on a 3-way call.
No.
How they can email each other. However, there's another thing they can't do.
Yeah.
say you, me, and person C were on the city council. I send you an email. Hey, Jason, what do you think about, the new public works building, blah, blah, blah. You and I can talk.
Yeah.
But what you do is, I don't know, I'll go see what person C says about it. That's the same thing. That's a chain. You can't do that either. Because the three are discussing business, you, me, and person C, and we're all telling each other what we're thinking. Not directly.
Right.
We're not all at the same meeting. We're not all on the same phone. You know what I mean? You can't do that either.
No.
But if you and I wanted to just have lunch and talk about things, I'll just see what you think, see what I think, and we don't discuss it with anybody else. You can do that.
Yes.
Because we're not forming a quorum.
Right.
So the law is I think it's as a cut and dry of a law as you can get. Either they did that or they didn't do it.
Yep.
So when I read, Jay, we're looking at the city pages here. I am.
Yeah, so am I. That's the one.
38 open meeting violations, not enough to kick Victoria officials from office. Oh, so what do they need? 39, 45. It's like you gotta kill 100 people to go to jail, or 200, or what is it? I mean, got to rob 5 stores, 10 stores, 20 stores. When you listen to what they did. Record requests found emails between officials, plural. By the way, you can discuss something with city staff, but you can't use city staff to do the same thing either. Hey, what did Jason say about it? Hey, what did person C, person D? Again, it's the same thing. And if you make these requests as a private, they have to turn them over.
Yes, they do.
So all of these things were discussed, all out of the public eye. Now, a Carver County Judge, Janet Bark Kane, slapped the 4 for 38 intentional, meaning they knew damn well what they were doing. And the defendants claimed they didn't know what they were doing went against the law. Oh, okay. So how about if I had a liquor violation at one of my liquor stores in town? I came to you knucklehead council people in Victoria. Oh, I didn't know that was the law. Let's say I had 38 violations. You going to let me off scot-free? Of course not.
Yeah.
But what airheads? They profess their ignorance. And that's no excuse. They have a city attorney paid for by the taxpayers at every work session and meeting. They didn't know that is B as in B, S as in S, Barbara Streisand, whatever you want to call it. They are lying through they're committing perjury.
Every city council person knows this law. I am fairly certain that when they go to their brainwashing sessions up at the League of Minnesota Cities for new city council people, that they go over this kind of stuff, because this is City Council 101.
Right, and the same judge decided that these willful violations were not enough to remove them from office. Well, they violated the oath that they took. How is that not grounds for their removal?
It should
be.
The
judge is contradicting herself. Yeah. On the one hand, you're guilty, and there's no real doubt that you are. The only defense is, well, I'm too dumb to know the law.
Yeah.
Oh, but we're just going to leave you on the city council. So, So hey, you got caught drunk driving, but you didn't know drunk driving was against the law, but here's your license back.
Yep. It's ridiculous. So, that was back in 2014. And then, in 2016 then is when they got slapped with the 30, according to the city pages, they got slapped with a combined 38 intentional open meeting law violations. And there's just 4 of them. 6 of them for Councilmember Bassa, 10 for Striegel.
Tried to strangle out of them.
I'm usually good with names. Striegel. And 11 for both Crowley and O'Connor. So that's how that breaks up. So, which is, they had some combination of 3 of them in some form or fashion multiple times. So, what happened then, as we kind of move in through some of the most recent elections, is that if we look at the Victoria, Minnesota city council today.
Yes.
Crowley and Striegel are still on the city council. Now, the other two are gone. Tom Funk is now the mayor.
He was one of the plaintiffs in this, too.
Yes.
And O'Connor used to be the mayor.
Right.
Irishman.
Yes. But Jim Crowley and Tom Striegel are still on the council after all of that.
Are they up this year?
Their website really doesn't say. We'd have to go out to the Secretary of State website.
Another horse manure website. Can't even say when the terms end.
Right. And that's, look at...
Hey, you want to know when these people are out of office? Look it up yourself.
And most people don't know how to do that. I mean, that's what's sad is that, most people wouldn't think to go out to the Secretary of State's website.
They shouldn't have to, Jay.
Well,
it should be sitting right at the city councils.
Exactly. They shouldn't have
people's office filing should be right there. It's going on right now, or if there's primaries, it was done in June.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have to go past the city website.
Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have to. It should all be laid out there. That is part of being transparent, which city governments seem to lack in spades.
City government wouldn't know transparency if it ran them over.
Now, there are some
that are better than others, but it's still, generally speaking, nowhere where it needs to be.
Yeah. I'm waiting on the there we are, Secretary of State website. Let's just take a look for funsies here.
Let's take a look. See,
because I would like to see. So for those of you playing along at home, anytime you go out to the website out here for the Secretary of State, which is sos.state.mn.us. Remember, when you're looking for the current election cycle, you need to go back 2 election cycles. If you go back just to the prior one, you're going to be off because people generally have 4-year terms. Some mayors have 2-year terms.
True.
So that's a little different, but you got to know what you're looking at.
And also, if you want to see candidates filed this year, you have to either go to What's on My Ballot. There'll be a link to that. Mm-hmm. Or you have to go to the candidate filing page. So that's to see who is filed this year.
Right.
If you want to see past election results, you go to their election results site, and they should have every year going back quite a ways.
Yeah.
And if you want to go back further, too, they will give you that info, but you need to personally request it. I think that website goes back to 1998 or something. It goes back quite a long time.
Okay, so Tom Funk, the mayor, Tom Funk is up again this year, and Councilmember Tom Gregory is up this year. So Striegel and Crowley are not. You got 2 years to throw something together.
We got the funk. We got the funk.
Yeah.
You know what I say about those councilmen who aren't up? Funk them.
Okay. My word, you're singing.
So they got
Parliament
reelected.
Funkadelic.
They got reelected in 60. I don't know who the hell I'm singing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a little Parliament Funkadelic. George Clinton.
No, it's Bill's brother,
Bootsy
right?
Collins is in there. Yeah. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, lots of fun out in Victoria. So, rule number 1, if you're on a city council, do not talk with more than just like one other person.
There's no excuse for that. There's zero. There's nothing these crybabies can say. They're basically admitting guilt. They should both be kicked out. They never should have been reelected in a million years. But if I know most cities, it's people got short memories, and unfortunately. But I want to see a liquor store come to them or something like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. I mean, these guys should let them off if that's their vision. If they don't know the law, why should anybody else?
Yeah.
So
right. Well, there you go. That's a great point. The people who make the laws should know what they are, and if
and the laws should apply to them too.
Oh, absolutely.
No more of this making laws and exempting yourself.
Unbelievable. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk today about Vision Zero. You've heard us mention it when we speak out in public. You've probably heard us mention it on the podcast. We haven't really gone into depth on what Vision Zero is.
It's not good. That's why we haven't done it.
Well, that is. I mean, it's been. I don't want to say it's new, but it's been gaining traction lately, and we hear more about it. Obviously, there's so much stuff out there that for the things that don't, there's so many things that if they don't grab traction, if they're not getting popular, it's just easier for us to not have to talk about them because there's so much to focus on that is gaining popularity. So this is one of those things that have been more and more popular lately. Vision Zero is all about trying to reduce the number of traffic fatalities. To what number? 0. But not just fatalities, severe injuries as well. So that's quite a big goal, Andrew.
That's a goal that is, I'm going to say right now, impossible. Impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. That's for sure.
I think, you know what I compare it to, Jay? And this is going to, the idea sounds great. We're going to have a goal to have it's kind of like saying we're going to get rid of cancer. I equate it to, I'll make a sports analogy.
Okay.
Look at the game of football and how it's evolved over just our lifetimes. There was a time, like when I played football, and I only went through high school, but, there was a big hit in a game. Everybody was, oh, yeah, oh, what a hit. Yeah. You know what it is now when you see a big hit? You look for that yellow thing.
Right.
And it's kind of that I come to, you can make something safer, you can't make something safe.
Right.
You can make safer cars, you can make safer planes, you can get better equipment, you can do a better job checking things, you can do all that stuff. Mm-hmm. You can't make anything foolproof. It is impossible. We have bad weather.
Yep.
We have distracted driving, drunk driving. Again, that can be reduced.
And I'm going to go out a step further than that and say that you have distracted walking or cycling as well.
You do.
Now, you don't see people usually texting while they cycle, but you do see it. Have you?
Walking. I've seen people walk into a light pole.
All the time. But groups like this say you can't blame the walkers. You can't blame pedestrians, even if they're not looking.
Right. But it's part of the war on cars, really.
It is. And I know we've said this before, but think about being in a car and then having to deal with a semi-truck who can't see you. Think about being a motorcycle driver and having to deal with a car that can't see you. But yet we don't have a war on semi-trucks, or we don't have motorcyclists.
Not yet. Don't give anybody any ideas.
Motorcyclists don't take up a war on cars. It's only cyclists and pedestrians. But yet, I don't know the stats, but there are quite a few motorcyclists that get hurt every year.
Sure.
While out cycling. Motorcycling. It's not.
The motorcycling is always going to be more dangerous.
Yeah.
There's people who don't wear helmets. There's people who aren't paying attention. There's people who take their motorcycle out in weather that they shouldn't. Mm-hmm. Again, you can reduce that.
Yeah.
There are steps you can take to reduce that. And I think we have, by and large.
Yeah.
I think our DWI laws have gotten a lot tougher. I think our, there are some distractions in the car. But, again, not every accident is based on that. Some fender benders are just that.
Yeah.
Sometimes a deer runs out in front of the... You slam the brake. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Tell the deer they can't cross the street? I'll give you a good example of where I nearly ran somebody over. There is a trail... You know where the Target campus is up in Brooklyn Park, and you keep going north on Broadway into Champlain there, and there's a regional trail that crosses West Broadway. And I'm telling you, most bikers and walkers are very good about stopping and waiting and things like that. I don't even know if there's a sign that says, "Hey, regional trail." I mean, I don't. There might be one. If there is, I don't remember. But I have seen people and that's like a 50-mile-an-hour road, 45-mile-an-hour. And I see people whiz across there on their bikes, and I'm like, my God! I mean, and I if I wasn't paying attention, I could have maybe hit this guy. So he didn't even look.
Yeah. And
so it's when I think of what you're saying about how the assumption is, if a car hits a biker, of course, I think it's fair to assume that the biker has a bigger chance of major injury.
Yes.
And I think that is legitimate.
Yeah.
But you flip over in a car, boy, I don't think you're going to get up and walk away. I've seen Mario Andretti do it once or twice, but that's about it. But again, that's a situation where what is somebody supposed to do who's driving? They're going the speed limit, and somebody flies out in front of them. I mean, that's how accidents happen.
And I will argue further that it is because we are putting so many different types of transportation into one single corridor that we are having these issues. How do we alleviate that? I don't know what the right answer is, but it's definitely not to come after cars. It's and it's not about making things more congested. We'll get into some of the stuff that they're proposing.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we kind of do. That's the point. We tell our listeners
Damn it.
So that they understand.
You get into it. I'll just comment on it.
Is that really how it's going to go down?
Well, it's being adopted, we should just say real quick, by all of our favorite big cities.
Yeah, and this is directed at cities. This isn't at states.
Although some states are taking it up.
Oh, some of the more liberal ones always do. And you'll have counties that jump in on it as well.
But we're looking at, before you get into this, Jay, Austin, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Boston.
Yeah.
Of course, Chicago.
Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale. New York. Of course, Portland. Where else? San Francisco. Washington, D.C. Seattle. And, of course, from the human wasteland of California, the city of Los Angeles.
Yes.
We all know. Not just the baseball team, but we have other Los Angeles in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So some of the normal cities that we see on every list of things we talk about, once again on the forefront of Vision Zero.
Wow.
Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Oh, but
so Jay, why don't you get into what they're, I'll use the term ideas. Again, on the radio, we're using air quotes.
Well, before you say that, you missed a city. Yeah, I probably missed more than one city.
I'm going off their website. 10 Vision Zero focus cities. Okay.
Maybe because it hasn't. I don't know. Has this been approved yet? The public comment period has now closed, and the draft plan is undergoing revisions, and a revised draft will be released.
Let's say St. Louis Park.
No. This is the Minneapolis 2040 plan.
Oh, Minneapolis. Wow.
Policy number 26. Vision Zero. Eliminate fatalities and serious injuries that are a result of crashes on city streets by 2027. The city aims to provide safe transportation networks and options for all users. In 2016, the state of Minnesota saw 397 deaths related from motor vehicle crashes, with 60 of those being pedestrians. Hennepin County had 187 traffic fatalities between 2011 and 2015, with 9 pedestrian deaths and 2 bicyclist deaths in 2015 alone.
So 95% of the deaths then were by people driving.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is 187 a lot? I mean,
I would say one person dying, period, is too much, but that doesn't mean that we have to
reinvent the wheel
all the time.
Yeah. How's this any different, Jay? Let me just throw a question out here. How's this any different from there's a crime involving a gun, and yes, that's a tragedy, but we use that to go and make 100 other rules that really don't change anything.
Right.
Are we kind of doing that too? There's a school shooting by one jackass, so the rest of us have to do 20 other things now because that one idiot.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. They're talking about prioritizing safe intersections on city streets by using safer speeds, which means slower speeds. They're not going to come out and say that because that will make drivers upset, but slower speeds.
So when an intersection comes, the miles an hour go down.
Yes. Well, no. I mean, just streets will have to be slower.
I see.
City streets, at least. I don't know about highways and trunk highways.
Well, go drive in Minneapolis. It's not like you can drive 50 down the city streets. There's cars parked everywhere.
Bicycle lanes and
two cars can barely fit in a row.
Yeah, it's unnavigable. You're unnavigable, Minneapolis.
Unnavigatable.
I don't know. Design strategies, that is, a lot of times they're talking about like your protected bike lanes. So sometimes you've gone down there maybe and you've seen around, it's not enough just to have a crosswalk anymore. They have like these white plastic pylons that come out and they make the intersection narrower so that you have to... It cuts off lanes of traffic.
No, you know
what's... It creates a bottleneck so that people go through the intersection slower.
What's worse are the bike lanes and then somebody parking.
Yeah.
So you've got the street. We've talked about this on previous episodes.
Yeah.
You got the street, then the bike lane, then where people park. Well, you've got cars going over the bike lanes constantly. Isn't that a recipe for somebody to get hit?
It is.
You got cars going on both sides. That bicyclist gets hit, they're going to be in 800 pieces. They're going to be Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
So aren't you... You're making it more dangerous for somebody riding a bike. They're riding on the bike paths, which is what we're told to do. Mm-hmm. The cars are driving in the lanes and parking where there's a parking spot,
which they're told to do, to move through the bike lane into the parking lane.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're just... To me, it's making things worse, not better. I don't know if that's by design so that they can blame cars for more things. I don't know, but I can tell you it's made it more of a cluster blank.
Yeah.
And you have it, us driving out here at St. Louis Park, filming things like the street that we're right by, where there's like a bike lane in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you're encouraging kids and other people who are already,
Yeah.
You know what kids are like. I mean, I was one once. They're already all over the place, and you're putting them right in the middle of the street.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. So it's those two things mainly. The the design strategies, the safer speeds, but also investment, so they want more money, and then policy decisions. They're going to make more rules. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something to say, and I'm trying to think of something to say that I haven't already said about this. Hey, here's the thing. You're going to have every bike group, if I were in a bike group, I would oppose this stuff. Because like you said, to me, this is making it more dangerous, not less.
Because I'll tell you this. I mean, if you put the same amount of traffic into fewer lanes, you reduce the speeds, you are putting things in the middle, whether it be speed bumps, whether it be protected bike lanes, whether it be these pylons that create bottlenecks, you are going to frustrate drivers. And frustrated drivers are going to be less attentive just because they're frustrated. And it's not
road rage.
Well, I mean, there's that, but just the fact that they're going to be frustrated and thinking about how frustrated they are, and they might not see the bicyclist that coming up on their right hand side. They might not, they might.
They might run that yellow light.
Exactly, because they don't want to wait for another cycle.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
I think Minneapolis has gotten, to say that they're insane is putting it mildly. But again, Jay, as we've seen, and it seems like, I know I sound like a parrot here, but what starts there all of a sudden ends up in Edina, in St. Louis Park, in Gold Valley, in Rochester, in Duluth.
There's no doubt about that.
And No Hope. And, all of our favorite cities will soon look at whatever they're looking at. And you can see it with Tobacco 21. You can see it with ranked choice voting. You can see it with I don't even want to go through the litany of crap because I don't want to talk about it anymore. But you can see everything that it has spread, that these dumb ideas get spread everywhere. That the city planner or community development guy will get these. Vision Zero will send them their colorful brochure and so on and so forth. Here's the new idea. Here's what this city did. Maybe you should do it here. Blah, blah, blah. And we all know that that's what's going to happen. So don't be fooled that this is only in a place like Minneapolis or these other liberal big cities.
Oh, no. There is a map on their website. So while you do have those places, you also have Denver. Boulder, obviously, is very liberal. Columbia, Missouri, Macon, Georgia.
Macon?
Yep, Macon, Georgia.
Oh,
Orlando. Durham, North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, there's a whole slew of them in California, of course. Sacramento, San Francisco, Fremont, San Jose, Monterey, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, Los Angeles, San Diego. It looks like maybe there's a couple others. Anchorage is also included because you know how often people bike in Anchorage.
Well, there's a little something in Los Angeles here. LA's Vision Zero initiative lacks the funding it needs after receiving only this is from March 2nd, 2018, govtech.com. After receiving only $27 million only of the requested $80 million during last year's budget process, one council member is saying traffic safety initiative is suffering as a result. Vision Zero, which is to eliminate traffic fatalities by the year 2025, it did not get a fair shot in its initial year due to the city's unwillingness to fund traffic safety projects. Really, you need $80 million? $80 million.
Yeah. Yep, $80 million.
I think we're just not serious about funding Vision Zero, said San Fernando Valenzuela Valley Area Councilwoman Nuri Martinez. The biggest battle that we have is we like to talk about big plans, but I don't think we ever really gotten serious about funding this. Well, I mean, are you saying $27 million can't? I mean, that sounds like a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
Pedestrian deaths have shot up 82% over the last 2 years. It's probably gone from like 2 to 4. No, I am not making light of that.
Right.
According to the data in a Vision Zero Action Plan in Progress report, boy, what if they got a committee to get that together to do? Well, I mean, why don't you cut $53 million out of the budget then, Miss Martinez? I mean, if you think this is so important.
Yeah. Well, you name me a government program where they say, I think we have enough money.
Yeah, right. That's true.
I haven't found one yet. It's always needing more money. So, yeah, this whole safe speed.
Touché.
Yeah. There's a whole list of case studies about safety over speed. They call it a core tenet of Vision Zero and the safe systems approach. So there's all these case studies, all these crazy places like Portland that have reduced speed limits. And what they claim,
Right, but Jay, is that really, you can have speed limits, but the law has to be enforced, number one.
Right.
And you're going to have some people break it no matter what. And speeding is one cause of accidents. Again, it's assumed that the car is doing something wrong. But you can have a fatal accident at 25 miles an hour, too.
Right.
You run into something the wrong way, or your airbag doesn't go off, or you're in a certain type of vehicle, if you don't have your seatbelt on, whatever. Speed is not a guarantee that you lower it from 35 to 30, doesn't mean you're not going to have any fatalities.
Right.
What if somebody has a heart attack while they're driving? Yeah. What if somebody, I don't know. I mean, you can spill something while you're driving. Stuff happens. The sun could blind somebody. I mean, I've seen, by dusk and all that. I mean, that can cause an accident too.
Wow.
So I don't know what you're going to do. Block the sun out?
Yeah. They say that there's a national study that found that more than 10,000 deaths each year in the U.S. are related to speeding. But that doesn't say where that happened. And obviously we've seen that the pedestrian numbers are a lot lower than the car-to-car crashes. And how many of those are on freeways?
Right, I know. Yeah. And how many of them have something to do with bad weather or, something like that? I mean, you can... there's a million things. By the way, you'd be glad to know that the National Safety Council has launched an initiative with the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They've set up a goal. They're working with Vision Zero for a goal of 0 deaths on roadways within 30 years. So look for this to be national.
Right.
The Department of Transportation committed.
That's a federal department.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a date on this article. I don't see it, though. If I find it, I will. $1 million for 3 years, an additional $500,000 in year 2 to fund safe system innovation grants, and the NSC is distributing those. To qualify, an organization, doesn't say a city,
right,
must explain how its innovative program. In fact, they're giving it right to these groups. Organization name. Here's the 2018 grant recipients. I'll just go through a couple.
Okay.
City of Boston's Mayor's Office of New Urban Mechanics. Center for Latino Progress. Got $174,000. Bicycle Colorado, $109,000. America Walks in partnership with the University of North Carolina Highway Safety Research Center. National Complete Streets Coalition with Smart Growth America, $185,000. Texas A&M Department of Industrial and Systems and Engineering in collaboration with Houston Methodist Hospital. So which one gets which?
I don't know.
University of Alabama, Birmingham. University of Michigan. 2017 grants were involved. San Francisco Metropolitan Transportation Agency, Roadway Safety Foundation, National Complete Streets Coalition, $185,000 again. National Association for County Engineers, Los Angeles Police Department, Chicago Department of Transportation, $185,000. So I mean, that's $2.5 million, mostly handed out to side groups.
Wow. Well,
in fact, there is a list. nsc.org under the Road to Zero is where you'll find, and they actually have a 10-page. I won't get into it, but there's a 10-page thing of what the grants are actually designed to do. So, I mean, a bicycle group getting $100,000 of your tax money,
right?
Yeah, and so they can go lobby for something.
Yep, go lobby their city councils to get something implemented.
Ridiculous. I mean, we're funding this crap.
Yeah. And as much as these things that we've stated are part of this, another word we've talked about a lot is a big part of this, and that's equity. Vision Zero recognizes that all people have the right to move about their communities safely. Equity is an integral part, especially to engage communities most vulnerable and to work against over-policing and inequitable enforcement.
Over-policing?
So they want...
Is that what they just said?
They want it to be safer, but they don't want police to crack down on certain groups of people.
That would be people of color. They're just not saying
it. Well, they don't want jaywalking to be, to be enforced.
So when you drive down Minneapolis, everybody's just standing out there doing nothing. They don't want that. They don't want jaywalking, loitering, anything to be enforced whatsoever. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I think
Why don't they just come out and say it? I mean, what is this language, this focus group think tank language? I mean, why can't anybody just say what they're thinking? I mean, again, this is another thing cloaked up in, we're helping the poor. You know how to help the poor? Stop giving them handouts and give them a hand up.
Yeah.
Stop rewarding bad behavior. Stop taking from the people who are working and giving to the people who aren't working. How about that for a solution? Rather than put a bike path outside somebody's house, why don't you, here's a cheaper thing. Why don't you buy them a sports jacket and give them a drive to a job interview?
Yeah.
How about that? It reminds me of, I remember when Rush Limbaugh had his television show. There was, I remember this, there was, because I didn't exactly hold the views back then that I hold now.
Okay.
But I'll never forget this. There was these homeless people who were stealing shopping carts. And the supermarkets and stuff wanted their shopping carts back.
Right.
So they started installing somebody to watch for people taking them. You know, and they would call the police on them or whatever. These things work. So they're like $160 a piece.
Right.
Back in the 90s. So what one of these groups did was they went around and bought a bunch of shopping carts for homeless people. And I'm thinking, okay, if you've got $160 to buy 20 shopping carts for people who are homeless, that's $3,200. Don't you think that $3,200 could be better used than buying somebody a shopping cart? How about you get them a job interview? How about you give them a ride somewhere? How about you give them a ride to the grocery store?
Yeah.
No, here's a shop. Here, you can be homeless better now. Yeah, you can push your dirty underwear around, but we're not going to do anything else.
Goodness. Yeah.
How about you get them? They could have got them a hotel room for one night. They could take a shower.
There we go.
I mean, you tell me how that solves anything. But again, this is we have this problem in this country where we see something and there's a certain amount of people that just will not help themselves, and we've bred a culture of generational. It's generational now that have no incentive, no means, no knowledge of anything of how to break out of poverty.
Yeah.
And poverty can be a wall for people, but the key is education, which again, we provide for free in this state. Don't tell me you can't go to college. You can go to community college. You can go to college part-time. You can go online. There's way more options than there were when I was there. That is a big key. You got to stay away from gangs and things like that, and you've got to stop having unplanned pregnancies. We eliminate those things, okay? We have done the job that we don't need people like Vision Zero. Okay, because I don't want a bunch of poor people walking around. They'll have cars, they'll have jobs, they'll have families, they'll do all of that. Now, how about, there's other problems too when you talk about bikers and walkers. How about unsupervised kids?
Yeah.
That's a problem too. Kids just running around, and look, I want them to play in their backyard. I want them to play at a park. Okay, but biking down the middle of the street in Minneapolis is not exactly fit for what they ought to be doing.
Right. I mean,
but I think unsupervised kids are.
I mean, it depends on the age, obviously. Young ones, need to have parental supervision. I know when I was in junior high and into high school, before I was of age to drive, and the first thing I did was went and get a car when I could. I was probably biking 25 to 50 miles a day, and I would go up and down Highway 2 out of Proctor into Hermantown. And
you survived?
Up into Cloquet.
How could you survive without Vision Zero?
Well, I don't know. I never got hit. It was amazing.
You didn't ride out in traffic. I
stayed on the shoulder.
There you go.
plenty of semis.
You didn't ride when it was icy out. You didn't ride your bike when it was raining. You didn't, cut out in front of cars. You looked both ways.
Yeah.
Again, there's ways to do it. But to me, I come back to this.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility lies with individuals, and again, we've gotten away from that in this country. That they're as long as individual rights, we have negative rights, which are not talked about enough, and you are not going to stop every stupid person from doing something stupid. Right. So, Vision Zero is.
Well, that's the thing, and they say that they don't use those words, but they did say you cannot eliminate human error. Mistakes happen, so that's why they have to create the infrastructure and the policies that are going to protect everybody.
That's their excuse for doing it. That's clever.
Right.
That's clever.
Oh, yeah.
Since you can't eliminate human error, you need us to come in and eliminate human error. So basically what they're saying is they can eliminate it.
Yeah.
Which is BS. We all know that's BS. So LA's become a Vision Zero area, and their pedestrian deaths have increased.
Yeah.
So, but that's not on Vision Zero's website.
Well, that's what happens, I guess. You don't report the things that aren't working out so well.
Well, and how about people, I'll throw another thing out there. How about people walking and biking at night? Aren't bikers supposed to have a headlight?
Yeah, reflective tape or,
something so you can see them. I mean, if my truck was going down the road with no headlights,
yeah.
I mean, that'd be a problem, and I'd have a popo right behind me. So, I mean, but there's nighttime accidents too. I'd like to see some statistics on that. When are these accidents happening?
Yeah.
Happening. I mean, like I said, bad weather, rush hour.
Drunk driving,
which they could hit anything.
Yeah, it could be a car in a tree.
It could be a person texting while walking too.
Yeah,
walking into a bench or something. I've seen people walk into things while they're on their phone.
Well,
and they get a nice Flintstone lump.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, these groups who subscribe to Vision Zero, I've seen a lot of messages come across that are like, you can't blame pedestrians, you can't blame cyclists. Drivers have to be more careful. They basically say, if you're a driver and you're blaming a pedestrian, you're a jerk, because I've seen them use the words, you have a killing machine or a 2,000-pound killing machine on your hands, and you need to be the one to look for it. But if somebody does something dumb, I mean, you can't control that.
Right. I mean, how is redesigning an intersection stop a biker from flying through a red light?
It doesn't.
But let me say something too. I'm going to agree just a tad bit with that statement. I do think drivers need to be a little more careful.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are plenty of bad drivers.
Right, but I mean, understand, if I hit a guy on a bike, my truck, for example, would be like a fly bite.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy could fly 30 yards, and my truck might barely have a scratch.
Right.
So I mean, I do need to be more careful than the biker does. That doesn't mean that any accident between the two is automatically my fault.
Exactly.
So I think there is some truth to that, but not that much.
Right. Be more careful, but it doesn't put 100% of the blame or responsibility on you.
I go back to what you said. The second you put everybody on the same street and in the same lanes and all that, this is going to get worse, not better.
You have a ticking time bomb.
I mean,
it's not a matter of if, but when.
I mean, I'm surprised there's not more, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When you look at all these complete streets and all these road diets and whatever else we can. I mean, I don't even want to go through the laundry list, but I am surprised it's not gotten away. Maybe it has. Maybe there's stats out there that they don't want out there, so they don't put them out there. I mean, these groups are only going to put out the stats that they agree with.
Right.
So
that's the way it works.
Right. So I don't know. But I bet the problems are exacerbated. We talked about it in L.A. It getting worse, not better.
Yeah.
What do you want to bet? It's getting worse in some of these other cities too. But you're going to have a hard time finding that data. But if it's getting better, the data will be in your face every 30 seconds. So look for that too. And you can manipulate this data. I mean, I always say it's like taking a poll. Everything depends on how you ask the question. You know what I mean? I mean, do you support illegal aliens getting driver's license? Well, you know what? There's 20 different ways you can ask that.
Yeah.
And you'll get 20 different responses. So, be wary of statistics. So we went through that on our roundabouts episode. I know that was like a year ago. Mm-hmm. How the data they're actually more dangerous, maybe less fatal, but you're actually having more fender benders. Yeah. It hasn't reduced accidents, actually increased them. Mm-hmm. Now, partly because roundabouts are just, people don't, I still don't understand some of them. Like I said, go drive to Mankato and tell me those roundabouts are helping. But so that I'm just saying, the data can be. You got to know what to look for, and you've got to not take what the government says, what these groups say at face value. You got to do a little more research on your own. And again, that's where it comes in. We go back to city councils. Don't just read what's in your packet. Yeah. Don't just parrot what the commissions recommend, take it into account, but do your own research, ask your own questions, don't pencil whip anything. You don't have to act on something today. The world's not going to blow up. We got through December 21st, 2012, so we're going to live a lot longer. Yeah. So that's another issue I've got too, is that we've got to do more of stuff like that. Independent research.
Yeah, you can't just take these groups at face value. You really do have to look for all of the data, because you're just not going to get it all.
Vision Zero. Jay, where do we find them if you unfortunately are sitting on the toilet and want to read this?
Well, visionzeronetwork.org. And, they do have lots of, what do you call them? The... webinars. They have one coming on August 20th if you want to see more what they're about. And I don't know why you'd want to sit all that time in something like that. You're just going to get their take on it. But it's good to know their take, too, because it gives you ammo for how to fight it when it comes to your community. So it might come close to killing you, but I don't think it would actually kill you to sit through something like that.
No, they want Vision Zero in seeing their stuff too. They want Vision Zero in all of it.
Yeah.
So if you watch their webinar, they want Vision Zero in watching. Well, maybe watch it while you're sitting on a sidewalk.
Yeah. Watch it while standing in traffic. It'll be somebody else's fault.
That's right. Put it on your phone while you're driving. Hey, I was watching Vision Zero.
I wasn't texting and driving. I was watching a Vision Zero webinar.
I was just taking notes. Don't worry about that.
So, August 20th. I don't know what time it is. I didn't bother signing up for it. Maybe I will. Maybe I should go. Tuesday, August 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. So here in Minnesota, that'll be
1300.
1 p.m. Yep. So,
mark it on your. I'm going to mark it on my phone right now.
Yeah. Yeah, mark it on your phone. If I'm laid up in the hospital with nothing better to do during the middle of the day, don't forget to watch this webinar.
My next colonoscopy, maybe I should schedule that for that day, and I can watch that before I have my cement mixer and have the. You don't want one of those. Let's just put it that way. No. Although you're getting close to the age, you're getting close to having that.
I still got a ways.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still got a while. So.
My dad didn't have it until he was 65.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had one, I think, before he did. No, maybe not. I was 37.
Wow.
And we're 30 years apart, so I think I had one right after he did.
Wow.
So, yep. I won't say
bonding activity.
I won't say swapping stories out of the fishing boat.
Little father-son time. Let's go into the proctologist.
Yeah, the fish aren't biting. You never know what'll come up in a conversation. Yeah, you don't want to have those. I won't go into why I had one, but everything's okay. I flush fine. But yeah, you just those things are not fun. I do know people who get them every year because of their family history and so on and so forth. So I'm sorry to those folks because that is not a fun experience.
I can imagine.
On that note,
yeah.
On my colonoscopy,
always fun and interesting listening to the Community Solutions podcast. You don't know what you're going to hear.
Right. I mean, you don't know if I'm going to do an impression or sing or talk about a colonoscopy or something like that. I mean, you never know what's going to come up. I told that story about when my wife and I were in Chicago and they had toll roads on interstate highways. They had state toll. I still haven't figured out. I can't get any information on why they can do that.
Yeah.
You know, why can you charge a toll on a federal highway? Yeah. First off, don't give Minnesota any ideas.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it's bad enough that we've got Min Pass and what Sane Lane or whatever we call it now, which is an idea that I think is going to get expanded. Other than just 94 there when you go into the city. So. But why they can do that, I still don't know.
I don't know either.
There's another thing to make us angry.
Yeah, and we'll have plenty of more things to make you angry in upcoming weeks. So make sure.
Yeah, get that blood pressure medication.
Make sure that you go out to take your phone, look up your podcast app, and subscribe to the Community Solutions podcast. Or you can find us on YouTube or out at podbabble.com. I've enjoyed doing this. I mean, we're coming up on episode 80 pretty soon.
Wow.
We've got to start getting the wheels turning how we want to celebrate number 100.
Oh, boy.
Have a celebrity panel or something like that.
Get a game of Family Feud going or something.
Maybe we could do that. Well, we thank you guys.
Well, you know what I hope? You know what I hope? Let me just throw something out there. I hope we have a bunch of people who win elections.
Yeah.
We can have like a big party with all of them.
I like your thinking. I like it.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This podcast is just us talking into the big nothing unless you guys listen. And hey, that's where we find all of this good stuff, all this stuff in the local lowdown that you hear about. That's given to us by you guys. So we thank you and we appreciate it. And we just ask that you continue to send stuff our way. We'll keep talking about it on the podcast, giving it airtime, giving it some exposure. And for those of you that aren't sending us stuff, it's going to give you ideas of what to look for in your city. So make sure that you stay engaged and watch those city council meetings. Get to those work meetings in person. Get on a planning commission. Get on a charter commission. Get on a parks commission. And start advising your city council on how to do things the right way.
And remember the great quote from Benjamin Franklin.
Yes.
Taxation with representation isn't so great either.
Right. Oh, so you got it. You've heard what we had to say, and it's time to go do something about it now. So we love you, Minnesota, and it's your turn to get to work.
Let me